Hello everybody, this is Kickball Jedi playing 7 Days to Die Undead Legacy mod. And this is the first in a series I'm making called Tips and Tricks. Now this is for 2.5 Undead Legacy. I know 2.6 will be coming out soon and there are all sorts of changes being made. But at least some of the things will remain the same, or maybe some of the mechanics will remain the same, and maybe just the way things look will be a little different, or there'll be additional things added. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the workbench or workstation setup. So a couple things to note about Undead Legacy is, one, there are a lot of things in vanilla that you can build in your inventory that you cannot build in your inventory in Undead Legacy. Just for example, things like a wooden club, arrows, a bowstring. These are all things that you must have a carpenter's bench to make. And as you go on, you'll see there are more things like that. Things like doors, hatches, storage boxes, all things that you take for granted in vanilla that you can make instantly in your inventory, you need a workbench to make. And then of course frames. So in Undead Legacy there's wood frames, scrap iron frames, brick frames, stone frames. These are all made within the workbenches, so you must have a workbench to make each one, and sometimes it's a different workbench. So the workbench you need to make a wooden frame is different than the workbench you need to make a stone frame. So we're going to go through that real quick, do a little short video. I've seen a lot of streamers that get started and they kind of fall into the groove of trying to make the workbenches in the same format as vanilla, only to find out they've gone in the wrong direction and now they've wasted a lot of materials and research data researching the wrong thing. Alright, so the first thing, in my opinion, the first thing you need in Undead Legacy when you're starting to get a base set up is space. So we know in vanilla you have your forge, your workbench, your chem station, I think that's about it. I mean, your campfire, yeah, I mean that's really all you need in vanilla. But here in Undead Legacy, you're gonna need, like in the end, to make everything in the game, probably 6 or 7 different workbenches. So you really need space for it. So here what I did was the first mission that I got, it happened to be this house. I don't know if you're familiar with this POI, but you start off in this attic. Now the attic was filled with boxes and stacks of clay. Cleared all those out, so I have lots of space. And the zombies really can't get up here. There's no direct route for them to get up here. Even for me to get out, I'd have to climb out on the roof and jump over to that tree house over there, jump down onto the ground. So anyway, step number 1, you'll need a base with space for all of these workbenches you're going to be building. So in vanilla, you might find a little cubby hole where you can start off building. But here, if you do start off with a cubby hole, you're just going to end up having to move everything to a bigger space anyway. So look for something with a lot of space. All right, now, as you start the game, it walks you through the beginning missions. And in those missions, you do build the carpenter's bench. All right, so as you can see in the Tier 1 carpenter's bench, there are a lot of items that you need that bench to make. You cannot make these items in your inventory. Things like your arrows and bolts, stone or iron, nails, rope, planks to make the frames, make the planks from the logs that you cut from the trees, even very basic items like a club or a wooden handle. You need the carpenter's bench Tier 1 to make these things. So, but the good thing is the beginning missions get that taken care of for you. By the time you're done with the beginning missions, you do have the carpenter's table Tier 1. Now, the 2 other workbenches or tables or stations that you can make right off the bat without any sort of additional recipes or schematics is the research station and the maintenance station. All right, so you do want to make those right away. Those are two of the three core workbenches or workstations that you need to get started in the game. So we'll take the research station and put it on this little wooden desk that I made, wooden table, and then the maintenance bench or maintenance station. All right, here are the three beginning workstations that you need to get started. You use the research station to research schematics for the additional workbenches and workstations that you'll need to advance. You use the carpenter's table for the items I just said, things like frames, doors, hatches, the wooden hammer, which is required in several different schematics. And for the maintenance station, what the maintenance station does is it basically turns repairing items into a more vanilla format. So if you're just out in the field and this frying pan gets damaged, to repair it would require a repair kit. So you know, the standard repair kit from vanilla. But if you take that same frying pan, go back to your maintenance station, put it in, it requires just one iron plate. Now compare that to in Undead Legacy, what it takes to make a single repair kit. You'll see 5 steel plates, 20 scrap iron, 2 mechanical parts, 5 oil, 2 glue, 2 cloth, 2 duct tape, all that to make one repair kit. So the repair kits that in vanilla you find by the dozens, in Undead Legacy are far more rare. And the repair kits that in vanilla you can make with a simple, duct tape and 1 iron ingot are far more complicated to make in Undead Legacy, including the fact that you would even need a workbench tier 2 just to make it, along with all of these items. So please do not use these repair kits willy-nilly. Conserve them when you find them. And of course there will be times when you're out in the field and you're using a gun and it breaks and you really don't have a choice. But whenever you have the option, get that maintenance station and put the item in there to repair it. Even things like a wooden club, instead of making a primitive repair kit, put that into the maintenance station. It just takes one piece of broken plank and it's repaired. I don't have any armor on, but the same goes for armor, for tools. Using the maintenance station to repair them uses far less resources than using a repair kit to repair them. Your other option is the trader repair station. I don't know if you've seen those, but in Undead Legacy, every trader has a repair station there, which will repair anything from money. But it could be an item where, like, you have a baseball bat that would only cost 1 iron plate to repair in your maintenance station. It might cost 2,000 dukes to repair at the trader. So that repair station is also very impractical. I mean, unless you're just loaded with money and you have thousands to spend, and you want to use it that way, that's fine. But again, that would be inconvenient if you're out in the field and you need something repaired. So conserve those repair kits, use your maintenance station whenever possible, and you'll be in good shape. Alright, so here are the 3 basic workbenches that you'll need to get started. Now, these do not require any sort of additional research, no schematics. You can make these right from the beginning of the game. Every additional workstation beyond this requires a schematic to either be made in your research station or found looted out in the world. So the next station you would be going after is the Artisan's table. just to clarify, that's because to make the next two workbenches you'll need, the furnace and the blacksmith forge, they're made in the artisan's table. Now you'll also find that the artisan's table is practical as the next workbench anyway, because you'll need it for making certain types of blocks and materials. So the artisan's table, use it to make cloth blocks, brick blocks, stone blocks, and of course any of these other dirt, destroyed stone, topsoil, farm plots. You need it for that. You need it for the mortar and pestle, which is very handy. Now the good thing about the mortar and pestle is it doesn't require any additional schematic. You can just make that right off the bat. That's used for making grinding clay, grinding bone into bone powder, grinding coal into coal powder, things you need for making things like gunpowder and glue. Right? You see there are a few other items you can make in the artisan's table, like this stone sledgehammer. I don't use that much myself, but make sandbags if that's your thing. But anyway, as you can see, the two things that we're focusing on that you use the artisan's table for is the blacksmith forge and the furnace. All right, so the next thing you want to make, now you can go either way on these, but you'll need to research either one, but my recommendation is the furnace next, because the furnace is what you use to make the bricks and ingots. The tier 1 furnace can make iron ingots and bricks, and once you get to the tier 2, that's where you'll be making steel. Let's go ahead and set that up. Okay, so here's that tier 1 furnace. You're using it for ingots, bricks, glass. The only other thing to note about the furnace is depending on what you're making, you might need a different mold. So the mold you can make, and you can make these in your campfire, and they're not too complicated. But you've got a mold for your bricks, a mold for your ingots, and a mold for glass. I think it's glass plates. Yeah. Liquid sand, glass, or metal. Okay. So anyway, I haven't really used the plate mold before, but you know, you will need the brick mold and the ingot mold, and you'd swap them out depending on what you're needing, what you're making. All right, so the reason you want to make the furnace first is because to make the blacksmith forge requires 20 ingots. Now it's possible you might find these in loot out in the field, but it's much easier. You've got the furnace, put in the ingot mold, and make your iron ingots. You can make them out of scrap iron or out of iron ore that you dig up. Alright, so now next up, that's the blacksmith forge. Alright, so now once you have the blacksmith forge, now you can take those iron ingots and make them into iron plating, which it's 2 ingots per iron plate. Those plates are used for repairing, for building, for upgrading. They're used in making tools and weapons. Just very, very handy early game. Also within the blacksmith forge, you can make all sorts of other useful items. Your anvil, your bench vise, which you'll need for the workbench, I think. So all sorts of handy items you can now make using that blacksmith forge. Okay, so these are all of your basic workstations that you're going to need to get started. Now from here, you have a bunch of different directions you can go. Just going to the tier 1 research station, you'll see that you can go to the workbench, which does require a special item, the wrench, to research. You can build the tailor station, which can be used for making armor and things like pocket mods, that sort of thing. You can do the mechanics table, which the mechanics table tier 1 is what you would use to make your bicycle repair kit or your mini bike repair kit. I'm not sure if it does the motorcycle. Take a look at that real quick. Here's how you check. So go to your options. Let's go to the motorcycle repair kit. Now first of all, you would need the tier 2 research station to research it. But then once you've researched it, It's made in Mechanics Table Tier 1, so that's good. So in the Mechanics Table Tier 1, you can make the, after researching it, you can make the mini bike repair kit, the motorcycle repair kit, the bicycle repair kit, mini bike repair kit, and motorcycle repair kit. You can also use it to build these items, but for those you would have to either have the frame or research how to make the frame, tires, all that sort of thing. All right, so that's what you can make with the those are the workbenches you can make with the Research Station Tier 1, and that'll get you started. Now, all of these workbenches can be upgraded. So you go up to them, press and hold E, choose Upgrade, and you'll see what it would take to move it up to the next stage. Now, for most of the workbenches, all that means is that the items you'll be able to create, repair, are of a higher tier. So like this Maintenance Station Tier 1, we can obviously fix simple things like a stone spear or frying pan. But for the Tier 2, that might be for more complicated things like maybe certain weapons, or sometimes if the tier of your item is higher. So if you got a Tier S item, you might need a higher tier maintenance station to repair it. And just as a note, the other thing you can do with the maintenance station is you can upgrade the individual items. So I'm not really going into that. I'm just going into the workbenches. But sometimes you may need a higher maintenance station to upgrade the item to a higher tier. All right, so for example, upgrading the maintenance station, you can repair higher tier things. Upgrading the furnace, you'll be able to make steel ingots. Upgrade the blacksmith forge, you'll be able to make the steel plates, for higher tier, making higher tier weapons, higher tier tools. Upgrading the artisan's table, you'll be able to work with concrete instead of just cloth, stone, and brick. And upgrading the research station, you'll be able to research more advanced items. Now, one of the tables that works drastically different than the others is the carpenter's table. So just as a couple examples, in the carpenter's table Tier 1, you can only make a cardboard box for storage. I think there might be some sort of bag. You can make the bag in your inventory. And when you have the wood logs in the Tier 1 carpenter's bench, you only get 2 planks per log. All right, very, very limited. But now you upgrade to the carpenter's table Tier 2. Now you can make more advanced storage like the wood storage box. And now for your wood planks, you get 6 planks per log. I mean, really just a drastic difference. I mean, imagine you go down to the forest and you cut down 20 trees, you get 100 logs, and you come back and that'll only make you 200 planks in the Tier 1 carpenter's bench. Just by upgrading the bench, you'll get 600 planks instead. I mean, it's a very, very exponential upgrade as far as what you get out of the higher tier workbenches. So you really do want to upgrade that carpenter's bench as soon as possible to make your building more efficient. So I mean, imagine that it takes to make one wood frame, it takes 5 planks and 5 nails. That doesn't change, but the amount of planks you get is you get 3 times more with the Tier 2 carpenter's table. So you want to upgrade that as soon as possible. It's even more dramatic as with your single wood log, you get 10 planks per log. So now that those 100 logs you got, that with the Tier 1 bench only gave you 200 planks, now give you 1,000 planks. So out of all the benches, I recommend upgrading as quickly as possible. I recommend upgrading the carpenter's table. Now you will need steel for building and that sort of thing, so you will need to upgrade these. You will need to upgrade your research station. Now the good thing about the research station, to upgrade it, doesn't require too much. I mean, you're going to have to get more paper, get more books. Everything requires research data to upgrade, so you will need that research data source. Some of the tables, when you upgrade them, require you to have a specific tool. I don't know if it needs to be just in your inventory, if it needs to be in your hotbar, but as long as you have that tool available, it doesn't consume it. You just need to have that for upgrading the workbench to the next level. Alright, so there's the basics. With these, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With these 6 workbenches, you'll be able to make all the basic things you need in the beginning, and these are all the ones you need to start making the additional workbenches going forward. Out of the ones you can still make with the Research Station Tier 1, I would suggest, if you get the opportunity, make the workbench, because there are some additional workbenches that are made in the workbench going forward. But yeah, the mechanics table is important to get that vehicle going. Tailor station for making armor. There's a ballistics table for making ammo. So the ballistic table does require the Research Station Tier 2. But yeah, only 200 research data for that. So after this, you've got a few options. But yeah, at that point, it's up to you what the type of game you're playing and what direction you want to go in. But these 6 will at least get it so you can repair your items, build the frames you need, whether it's wood or stone or brick, research the items that you have or that you need to make, and then make the metal or iron products that you're looking for, tools, weapons, or plates for repairing. All right, I hope this helps. Like I said, I've seen a lot of streamers that did things a little bit out of order, and you do things out of order and you've now wasted research data, you've wasted materials, and you basically have to start all over again. So like, let's say you go to make the furnace before you make the artisan's bench, which is a common mistake. You've now wasted the 200 research data it took to make that furnace, and now you need to get more research data to go back and start over and make the artisan's table anyway, or the artisan's table schematic. All right, I hope this helps. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. I know Undead Legacy 2.6 is coming out soon. There may be some changes on that. We'll watch for that. But for now, for 2.5, this is your basic workbench setup. Have a great day.